Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Hodges. I forgot my selfie stick this morning. I was kind of running out, and I usually don't have as much time this morning because I was doing a little bit of a Bible study, and then I started talking with Collins, and then one thing led to another, and now you can see it's nice and light outside, and I only have like 30 some odd minutes to go for a walk. But I thought I would squeeze in a little quick video, and today I want to talk about cravings and cause and effect. You know, so many times whenever I'm having these different vlogs or different things that you read about, we're really looking at ways to alter the effects of some action. And do y'all remember learning about cause and effect in school? You know, one thing leads to another. Well, you know, I think it's equally as important to not just understand the causes of certain effects, but then also finding ways to alter those causes so that maybe you can have a different effect. I think it is equally important to have a plan to mitigate negative effects as it is that you have a plan to best attend to causes that might potentially have a negative effect or negative outcome. So today we are going to be talking about causes of cravings, and then what are things that you can do to kind of be mindful of those causes, and then what are things that you can do to help decrease the negative effects that could ultimately cause an increase in your cravings. Does that make sense? So I thought it was interesting whenever I was doing a little research to find that yes, we all know cravings about sugary food, and we all know cravings about salty food, and in fact women are more likely to have cravings for sugary foods. Men are more apt to have cravings for savory foods. And you know, many of the cravings that we have, they really begin in the mid part of our brain, and that's kind of like our primitive brain, and it's where we process some of these more animal type instincts. And so I thought it was interesting whenever I was doing my research that, you know, a lot of times we were looking at, you know, I've heard in the past, if you eat artificial sweetener, it can increase your cravings. And I can absolutely tell you for myself that that is true. But today I want to talk about what are a couple of things that you might not think could add to your cravings that I think that you could find ways to control. So, number one, which was at the top of the list for almost everything, is stress. Stress can certainly increase your cortisol levels, and hormonal imbalances, which can be caused by stress and increased cortisol, can certainly increase your cravings, particularly for higher carbohydrate, calorie-dense foods, and that's for a variety of reasons. So, if cause number one is stress, what are things that you can do to reduce stress? And you know, I think for everyone, that's kind of an individual thing. For me, going out for my walks, that is certainly a stress reliever for me, because I can also tell you that if I'm particularly stressed, I will absolutely just cram something sweet in my mouth, and it's like I literally don't even remember eating it. So the struggle is real. So I think the first thing to do is, if you know you are stressed about certain things, whether it's something personal, professional, just overall stress, I want you to start to think about what are things that you do that relax you, that do not involve a great big glass of wine or Jim Beam, okay? I want you to find what are some different things. So for some people it's exercise, for some people it's reading, for some people it might be spending time with their girlfriends. Other times it might be just sitting down and talking with their spouse. I'm going to get with Collins to find, to kind of do a little video on good stress relievers. But I say this, that everybody's going to have their personal stress reliever, a healthy stress reliever. And that would seem to be the number one thing to decrease your risk for cravings. Number two, thought this was interesting. Get enough sleep. Did you know that when you are sleep deprived, That increases your cortisol level, i.e. it increases your stress. And studies have shown that if you get enough sleep, like 7 to 8 hours in a day, or if you have sleep apnea and you actually use your CPAP, you can lose up to 10% of your excess body weight. So sleep is incredibly important. Hormones play a huge role in your digestive system. It's not just for women to have their cycle, and it's not just for growing babies in our bellies or getting ready to get pregnant. Hormones affect a lot of the different processes in our bodies. So cortisol, leptin, serotonin, and these are all different hormones that have a huge impact on our digestive system. In fact, serotonin is a neurotransmitter that is in our brain, and a lot of times if it's altered a bit, patients can have issues with anxiety or depression. But did you know that you also have like almost a majority of your serotonin receptors that are general, not specific, but general serotonin receptors, and they're all throughout your small bowel in your gut? So what does this mean? If you're having anxiety or depression and you're not being adequately treated, your serotonin levels will be off. That is why so many times when patients have anxiety or depression, they're also going to have GI complaints as well. And one of these can be an increase in your cravings. So I'd lead this all to say is, number one, control your sleep, get better sleep hygiene. Number two, watch your stress levels. 3, drink your water. Oftentimes we crave what we think we're hungry, when in fact we're really just thirsty. So if you drink enough water, your cravings will go down. And I will say I am a testament to that for 2 things. Number one, because I started now drinking more water and I no longer have my afternoon Diet Coke, I absolutely have a decreased craving. And I take medication to help me with appetite. The same things that I'll give my patients. But definitely water in the afternoon has helped to decrease my cravings for sweets, because I am a sweetaholic. I love me a good carb. I just have to say this. I just have to stop. Is this not the cutest background? Because it's Halloween time. How cute is that? I'm sorry, I digress. They also have this cute little thing up at the front with witches, and at Christmas time they have the Santa with a Christmas countdown. So, and this is new. I've been walking this path for years, and I'm like, ooh, they have new decorations out this year. I think it's kind of funny. So this little corner decoration is those little green balls really represent a witch's brew. You'll see it in just one second. Isn't that the cutest thing? Oh my goodness. I think I might try to put at least some pumpkins in my trees too. We're gonna try to decorate this weekend. So, drink your water. It's good to help you with cravings. Also, if you're hungry, or if you feel like you're hungry, you actually might be thirsty. So you might be surprised that you're actually a little bit dehydrated. And so drink your water. It will help with your cravings. And then lastly, take your vitamins. I think it's interesting that some cravings that patients will have is actually secondary to vitamin deficiencies. And I think the most well-known one is an iron deficiency anemia. So it's not uncommon for women, especially pregnant ladies, they're more apt to be anemic. They might have what's called pica, and they will have cravings to eat crazy things like dirt. There was even, there's a show on TV called The Great, and it's about Catherine the Great. And there's a couple of scenes in there when she's pregnant and she's just talking to her people, and then she goes down and eats a big old handful of dirt, and it's because she has pica. So there are 2 reasons why somebody can be anemic. They're either not getting enough iron in, i.e. they're not taking enough iron, or they're not absorbing it, or they're losing it from somewhere. So certainly if you are a lady and you're having some of these cravings or ice, a lot of my patients are like, ooh, I just love to crunch on some ice. That might not mean that you just like to crunch on ice. It could mean that you're anemic. And so go get that iron checked out. And not just a CBC or a blood level, like a hemoglobin and hematocrit. You need to go get an iron study so we know what your ferritin levels are, what your iron saturation is. Those are going to be a more in-depth study to see if you're iron deficient. And that could be the cause of your anemia. I think if you're having some of these symptoms of pica, I would recommend, number one, start taking a good multivitamin with iron in it. You need to, I would say, taking at least 40 milligrams of iron a day. If you're a bariatric patient, you need 40 to 60 milligrams. What's interesting is if you're a bariatric patient and you're anemic, you may need to have up to 300 milligrams of iron just to kind of dig you out of that hole. So I think the other thing that can address your anemia is maybe you're taking it enough, but you're losing blood from somewhere. For a lot of women that are in the childbearing years, they could have a gyne issue. That's probably the most common thing that I will see, is that you might have a really heavy cycle or a prolonged cycle or a frequent cycle. You can go get that checked out and go get that taken care of. Sometimes it's just something that your gynecologist can treat with medication. Other times you might need to have specific surgical treatments to help you. But either way, if you're taking in enough iron, but you're losing more than you can take in, it's almost like a moot point. You're almost like a dog chasing its tail. You gotta hit the root cause. So I think these would be the main things that I want you guys to look at when you find that you're having lots of cravings. Address your stress, address your sleeping, address your water intake, and then address your nutrition. So look at your vitamins and make sure you're taking a daily vitamin. Hope that this helps you guys.